To me, it would be essential that these people say, yes, I murdered Stephen Lawrence before they are let out into the society again. My son is in Jamaica in the ground. He can't come out. My son is dead. Never will be able to come out of the coffin.
It is an outrage that two young black youths were on their way home when, for no reason whatsoever, one of them was stabbed to death.
Somebody is shielding them, and whoever's shielding them, please release them to the police.
It's a black issue. They can't go home at night and close the door and blank it out. Black people has got it for good.
Let somebody know who these people are that have killed my nephew, Stephen Lawrence.
I just thought to myself, well, somebody's been murdered, they're going to go out and look for his killers. But as the days pass, then you realise that it's a completely different thing, that Stephen was a black boy and the interest was not there.
The price that we had to pay is a very, very heavy price.
Feelings is, if it had been a white boy, they would have surrounded the black community, they would have arrested as many black boys as they could, and they would not stop until they get the killer.
Stephen was going to fulfill my childhood ambition to be an architect. That's what I wanted to be. When he came to me and said that I want to be an architect, he was he could draw anything just by looking at it. All my kids, they can just draw anything. And I was thinking that sometime when I was walking down the road, I would see a building that he had designed. And when he came and said to me that I want to be an architect, I was so pleased. I'm thinking this man is going to do something that I wanted to do and achieve it, because he was brilliant. The day that Stephen died, I was looking through the window and seeing other people going to work, and I was really, didn't like the idea that I wasn't able to work. And he came downstairs and saw me looking through the window. And he said to me, "Dad, are you okay?" And I said, "Yes, I'm fine." I said, "Remember, do not go anywhere this evening. Come straight home from school." And that's the last time I spoke to him. The evening when his mother came, I had to go and fetch her from Woolwich, and it was about 9 o'clock or so. And I had done dinner. We had eaten because we were waiting for him to come, and he didn't come. And then the doorbell rang. And when the doorbell rang, I said to myself, "Why is he ringing the bell? He's got his own keys." And when I went to the door and opened the door, it was Joey Shepherd and his father telling me that Joey Shepherd was down at the bus stop waiting for the bus when he saw these guys attack Stephen. So we got up and was going down to see exactly where down in Wellhall Road it happened, because you can see straight down Wellhall Road. And we didn't see any light flashing, blue light flashing or anything like an ambulance or anything. So we decided to go to the hospital. And they put us in a room to sit and wait until, because they said they were looking after him. And then about half an hour or so later, they came in and said to us that he's dead. And I remember going into the room and looking at him laying in the place where they had him. And I left the hospital and drove home that evening. And I can't remember driving home. The only thing I remember is getting up in the morning and thinking I had a dream. So I went upstairs to his room to look, and his bed wasn't slept in. So that's when I realized that what had happened had happened.
My feelings is, if it had been a white boy, they would have surrounded the black community. They would have arrested as many black boys as they could, and they would not stop until they get the killer.
We are very used to this type of thing where life is regarded as cheap in South Africa. But nevertheless, it's a sense of deep concern that it should happen in a country like Britain.
The fact that a man had to come all the way from Africa, and from the time that man spoke with the family, the media door that was close to us was open wide like that. The morning when we went to meet him, the room was full with television cameras, newspaper people, which didn't happen before. And then all of a sudden, the gates opened after we spoke to him.
He's taken the time out to see us. And so, we were truly grateful for that. And that just shows that people from abroad seem to be more interested in what's happened to our son than the Prime Minister and the government of this country. It's 4 years on since my son's been murdered. And what we want out of this is to find out the truth of exactly what went on that night. And the only way we're going to get the truth is by having a judicial inquiry.
Look into how the police dealt with this case from the very off and come out with some strong recommendation to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
An experienced judge of the High Court, backed by a very experienced independent panel, and this inquiry will have full powers to compel the attendance of witnesses to give evidence under oath, and if they fail to do so, to punish them as if it were a contempt of court.
When Clive Drifter came, it took me quite a long time to start trusting him. Because when he met us and tell us that he was going to get me in charge of the case, he said to us that he hopes that we will trust him. That's the first thing he said. And it took me a little while because of what they did in the first place. I was thinking, is he really serious about trying to solve the case? And it took us a long time for us to be able to trust him. Clive was an old-style police officer who treated us like how they should have treated us from the beginning. You know, he used to give us information about what's happening. He would call us and tell him what he's doing. He didn't give us the information to stop the case going forward. But we were part of what was happening while he was there. Before, we weren't. We weren't told anything.
Very pleased for Stephen's family and those who loved him. There have been several investigations over the last 18 years, during which the Lawrence family have campaigned tirelessly for justice. We pay tribute to Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence's courage and dignity. They have contributed to major changes within policing, the law, and indeed within society as a whole.
One of my greatest hopes is that these people have now realized that they've been found out. And is now going to go and lay down in their bed and think that they weren't the only ones who were responsible for the death of my son. And they're going to give up the other rest of the people so that I come out here again in a year's time and talk to you people again.
How can I celebrate when my son lies buried? When I cannot see him or speak to him, when will I see, when I'll see him grow up and go to university or get married or have children? These verdicts will not bring my son back.
They should not be released until they own up to the fact that they were the ones who actually killed my son. When they go before these panel, do they have to accept or say, yes, I did the murder before they allow them to leave? Because if I was on that panel, that's one of the questions I would be asking them. You've got to say to me whether or not you were involved or if you did kill the killing. If you don't tell me yes or no on that, then I'm not going to say yes for you to leave. To me, it would be essential that these people say, yes, I murdered Stephen Lawrence before they are let out into the society again. My son is in Jamaica in the ground. He can't come out. My son is dead. Never will be able to come out of the coffin. The legacy that I wanted him to bring is not the legacy that he has brought. And one of the things which I feel proud of is the fact that people saw the way that we never gave up, to the stage where we did a private prosecution. There was ever two private prosecutions done in the country, and we did the first one, we didn't know about it, and we did the second one. And also the fact that Steve was one of those people who did things that we didn't know about. Rhode Island family, Steve was helping them to raise money. Didn't tell us anything. And we only found out when he got killed and the family came to the house and was telling us what he was doing. So, you know, Stephen's legacy is the fact that any black person in this country knows that anything that happened to them, they have to try and do things for themselves. They can't rely on the police force.